Viewers, today we have Kwanda from Ombudsman for Banking Services. Welcome, Kwanda. Can you introduce yourself to our viewers and what you do at the OBS?
Thank you, Dominic. Hi, everyone. My name is Kwanda Vabaza, and I'm the Communications Manager here at the Ombudsman for Banking Services. And I'm also one of the senior adjudicators. So basically, I investigate the complaints that we receive from the public.
The first question to you, Kwanda, is what are payment holidays?
So a payment holiday is basically an arrangement that a consumer makes with their bank or their creditor. For instance, if a consumer is experiencing financial difficulties, they're unable to meet their contractual obligations in terms of paying their monthly debt. So what they can do is they can approach their bank, request for the bank to either reduce the installment, the monthly installment payable, or place a hold for a period of 12 months or 3 months or 6 months, depending on what the bank is feeling, or depending on what the bank wants to allow. So if the bank says, yes, I do agree to a payment holiday or to a reduction in payments for a period of 3 months, then that will constitute a payment holiday.
There is a lot of information which is circulating. So the viewers also need to get credible information. What is the call for bank customers when they hear about or read about debt relief measures from the banks, the likes of these payment holidays, especially from the media? What is the call the viewers are supposed to do?
I think anyone listening or reading such information out there, if you feel that obviously you have been affected some way by, for instance, this COVID-19 lockdown measure that have been introduced. So what you can do is, instead of just believing what the media is saying, it is advisable for you to call your bank or your creditor, find out directly from your creditor what they're offering in terms of the debt relief measures offered out there. And then from there, you can make an educated or an informed decision as to what obviously is best suited for you. But we've seen as an office, a lot of people calling in, demanding for their banks to offer them a certain option when that option is not necessarily offered by that particular bank. So instead of just believing that all banks offer the same options, we advise that consumers directly approach their banks and then try and enter into obviously some sort of a payment arrangement with their banks, obviously based on the options offered by their banks. Not just believe everything said out there by the media or in the media.
There were agreements before then which were done by the customer and the bank. Now, what are the changes one can expect from these agreements once the payment holiday agreement has been put in place? What changes can one expect there?
Yes, so Dominic, one of the complaints, actually most complaints that we receive as an office are with regard to that, exactly that. So the consequences of a payment holiday. So I think what consumers do not understand out there is that with any alteration in that credit agreement, there will be an effect. So one of those effects, if for instance, the credit provider reduces the installment, or if they place a hold, you're not paying the installment in that account, what will happen is that obviously the debt, the outstanding balance as a whole will increase.
Okay.
It will increase because one, interest is charged daily on the outstanding balance. And because of that interest and the areas, obviously the interest will go up, the interest on that account, and then it will affect the outstanding balance, which will also go up. Secondly, obviously with the going up of that outstanding balance, the term of that loan may also go up. And again, I'm saying may because it always depends on what happens after the payment holiday. For instance, if after the payment holiday, let's say, yes, you were given those 3 months, you were not paying anything in those 3 months, or you're paying a reduced installment in those 3 months. So once you go back to the original terms now of the agreement and you go back and pay that old installment. If, for instance, you were paying 1,500 rands before the payment holiday,
Yeah.
and then you now paying 1,000 rands during the payment holiday, or you're not paying anything. And then once we revert back now to the original terms of that agreement, you now go back to paying 1,500. There is no way you're gonna pay back the outstanding balance in the agreed period. So what will need to happen then is, if you want to continue paying that 1,500, then the term of that agreement will need to be extended.
Oh,
and
okay.
in extending that term,
Yeah.
It means then you will be paying more in terms of the interest
I see.
payable in that account. So, and now most consumers, they do not understand that principle. And for them, they expect that if a holiday payment for 3 months, there was a holiday payment for 3 months, they've not been paying for 3 months, then once the original terms revert back, they expect to go back again to say the agreement to be extended by those 3 months, and it does not happen that way, unfortunately.
That's what a lot of people, I believe, assuming that this payment holiday, that's what it means. Because
exactly,
to them, it's an opportunity for someone to not to pay for 3 months, use that money for something else, then later on go back to the agreement they have with the bank. Okay, so can a bank change the terms of agreement without notifying you as a customer?
So the answer is the answer there is no.
Okay.
So what normally happens is that, so if, for instance, the bank is decreasing your liability, it will send you a notice. So they will send you a notice of the decrease. But if the bank is now increasing your liability, then what needs to happen is that the customer or the consumer needs to consent to that increase. So if they're increasing your liability, then the consumer needs to consent. And unfortunately, the increase will not be valid up until the customer has consented to it.
Okay. Because I've seen that you apply for the holiday, payment holiday, and they just say to you it has been approved without actually sending you any paperwork, anything. They just say you applied for it, it has been approved. But you need to give that consent that I agree to the changes to that agreement. Is that what?
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct. I think, again, though, Dominic, what we need to understand is that, yes, some banks or some creditors, they allow you, obviously, to apply for their holiday online. Now, if you're going to apply via, for instance, the app, the banking app.
Yeah.
So you will obviously have to enter, for instance, your passwords and all that, and then go and complete the terms and conditions. You accept them. Once you've accepted them, that is you now agreeing to those terms. Now, how do they identify you? They identify you by the fact that obviously your personal details, password, for instance, which is only known by you, was used to access the app and apply for that payment holiday.
Okay.
The other option, obviously, is that people call in to apply for these payment holidays. And now that conversation is normally recorded.
Okay.
It is recorded, and then that is obviously as well accepted as proof of the arrangement between the parties, the call recording.
Okay. But the calculations now, let's say maybe there will be more interest, whatever. The nitty-gritties of whether it's going to increase or whatever, it means normally on a phone call, it's not in detail. But they just say to you, it has been approved, they will send you a confirmation. You will need to act on that confirmation to say you are agreeing to what they are giving you.
So I don't think you have to. So for me, Dominic, I think as an office, we advise consumers to just be aware of what they're getting themselves into. Now, as you correctly pointed out, now most people will just agree without fully understanding the consequences, obviously. And then what we advise consumers is that when you're busy having that discussion with the consultant, the bank consultant, you need to understand exactly what the consequences of the payment arrangement are. Now, you need to ask the question as a consumer. So what happens here? If I get this payment holiday approved, what will happen to the total outstanding balance? What will happen to the interest? Now, the bank will have to try and explain to you exactly the consequences of that arrangement. And then again, they will need to send you a document of whatever was agreed between you and the bank as proof of that arrangement.
All right.
Now, you have an opportunity there, obviously, to say, yes, I still want to continue, or to say, you know, I do not agree with this, and that you do not want to continue with this. So my point, or my advice would be for consumers not to just immediately agree to an arrangement. First, ask for that documentation to be sent to you. Have a look, seek advice where you can, and then if you're comfortable with what they're offering, then you can continue and agree to those terms.
Any more advice or any tips on how consumers should actually approach this, the best way of approaching this? What is your advice there?
Again, Dominic, I think from previous experiences, so as an office, we've dealt with a lot of disputes relating to payment arrangement.
Yeah.
Now, and those disputes, they're always about consumers alleging that they've never, or they did not agree to the specific terms imposed by the bank. For instance, we've seen instances where a consumer will say, but I requested for a 3 months payment holiday. But then the bank extended that payment holiday, for instance, by 3 years. 3 years, the consumer was not seeing that they have not reverted back to the original installment. Okay. Now, our advice in those cases, and especially because in most instances, none of the parties are able to provide proof of what was agreed to. So the bank will say it was recorded, it was a telephonic discussion. Unfortunately, the call recording no longer exists. The consumer as well says, I said this to the bank, I want 3 months. They extended it by whatever month. I did not agree to this, but the consumer as well cannot provide us with proof. So it makes things a bit difficult for our office. So what we advise consumers is that when you enter into these payment holidays, one, make sure that they record it. If you conclude in this agreement telephonically, make sure that the call is recorded. Request for a reference number of that call.
Okay.
Request for the name of the person that you're talking to. And also, we also advise them to just record as well for their own sake the terms of the agreement being concluded between them and the bank. Yeah. So he needs to write there, the consumer needs to write there, I want 3 months, the bank agreed to 3 months.
Yeah.
The interest will be extended by so much. So all that information needs to be recorded by the consumer. In the event that there's a dispute, obviously, then they can always say, but this is proof of the court discussion that we had. And then secondly, if it is recorded or it is in writing, then the consumer must try and make sure that they sign and request for a copy of that agreement. Now, me and you did have a discussion, obviously, regarding that written copy. And if you see from that written copy that there is a discrepancy, consumers should not wait for months or years before lodging a complaint. If you see that there is a discrepancy, immediately call your bank, report that discrepancy, and request for that discrepancy to be rectified. And again, consumers are advised to either send an email of that request so that there is obviously proof of whatever measures they tried or they adopted in trying to rectify that mistake. Sitting back for years and doing nothing, it will not benefit them in the long run.
Finally, as this pandemic of the COVID-19 is upon us, I believe a lot of people will also be facing more challenges financially. This payment holiday, from what we have heard, is 3 months. Do you think there will be a possibility of it being extended to consumers out there because of the challenges people are facing now?
So yes, again, Dominic, so the payment holiday, this whole payment holiday is not a new thing. So it has always been there for struggling consumers. It's always been there. It's always been there. It's just that now, obviously, with the pandemic, more people are now exposed to, obviously, have lost their jobs and they're unable to pay their debts. And hence now banks, obviously, they've gone out there to just inform them that there is such measures available to them.
Okay.
But they've always been available to struggling consumers.
Wow, wow. I didn't know about it. It's the first. I thought this is something which was just designed for this COVID-19.
No, not really. And again, it goes back again to us advising customers that if you are struggling financially,
Yeah.
whether it's due to the pandemic or the lockdown or for whatever reason, instead of you just sitting back and deciding not to pay, it is always advisable for you just approach your bank, discuss your circumstances with your bank, and ask them what options are there for you to try and resolve the issue with them without you being exposed to legal action and your credit profile being ruined by you not paying. So it is always advisable for consumers to approach their credit providers for advice.
Thank you, Kwanda. Lastly, can you just remind our viewers what OBS does, and also just share your hotline or your contact details, which they can actually use if they want to get more information from you guys?
Thank you, Dominic. So at the Ombudsman for Banking Services, our job basically is to try and resolve complaints between banks and their customers. So any bank customer out there who has an issue with their bank and who needs assistance from lawyers, free of charge, they can come to our office for assistance. We will assist them the best we can, and hopefully they will be happy with the service provided.
Okay, and how do they contact you guys? Is there a hotline, or you guys you get contact through an email or something else?
So if anyone wants to come and lodge a complaint with our office, they can either call us on 0860 800 900, 0860 800 900, or they can lodge a complaint online. You can go onto our website, it's www.obssa.co.za.
Okay.
Or they can simply call our reception, it's 011 712 1800.
You can repeat that number again, 011
712
712
1800.
1800. Thank you so much, Kwanda, for your time today. And it was really an inciting chat, which also it has opened my eyes as well of other things which I didn't know. And we are definitely looking forward to having you again to answer some more questions in regards to what is happening, because we're still in this pandemic. And
that is correct.
You guys who are specialists in this field, you definitely assist our viewers and the consumers out there, especially during these hard times. Thank you once again, Kwanda.
Thank you, Dominic. Dominic, just before I forget, again, I think this is very, very important. I think,
yes.
Before consumers can just go and apply for this payment holiday, I also advise them and urge them to just make sure that there isn't credit insurance taken with their credit. So for instance, if some debts, for instance, from the 1st of August 2017, they require that there be credit insurance taken with them. For instance, unsecured debts like a credit card.
Yes.
So if before you go to your bank and request for a payment holiday, just make sure that there is no credit insurance for that, because your credit insurance will cover those installments for you.
Also, if you've got a credit insurance, you don't need to do a payment holiday. They can cover it for you.
Correct.
Oh, okay. I think this is another topic which we'll actually have you once again, because it is most of us, we always see on our bank statement there that there is this insurance which we are paying towards our credit cards, but we don't even have an idea what it means. We think it's something which is just there for the sake of the bank, for them to claim later on if I fail to pay or something. But I think it's a topic which we will have you once again, maybe a few weeks to come, so that you can explain it more, especially when people are in the dire need of solving their issues after this payment holiday.
Not a problem. Thank you, Dominic.
Thank you so much, Kwanda. Viewers, you have actually heard it from Kwanda there from OBS. And please don't forget that we are in a pandemic. Don't forget to sanitize and also observe social distancing and stay safe there at home. Thank you.